Go ahead, Morgan.
Any other questions?
Are there any other questions I may answer?
All right, Sarah DeLea.
All right, Sarah, go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning. Thanks so much for taking our questions. I did want to ask, you mentioned the tragic death of Ethan Rivera, and I wanted to see if there was any updates on that case, if there was any updates on that suspect. I don't believe he's been taken into custody, but if there's any information about if he's armed or dangerous or anything like that that we could share with our listeners, that would be great.
Yeah, let me refer to Lieutenant Fishbach for that, because that's his well. I was just discussing the crime gun suppression team, and I'm sure he can answer your questions.
Hey, good morning, Sarah. So we pushed that information out on Monday, and that suspect has not been arrested for those outstanding warrants at this time. We do continue to ask for the community's help in providing any information to Crime Stoppers on that gentleman's whereabouts, 704-334-1600. And what I can tell you is we have detectives from multiple investigative units within the CMPD working with our partners, partnering agencies in the area, doing everything they can, working tirelessly to bring justice and resolution to that case.
I have Jess from Queen City News.
Okay, Jess from Queen City News.
Thank you. Good morning. Two follow-ups to Sarah's question. Have you interviewed the parents of the suspect, and are they cooperating? And is the FBI involved in the search?
Well, and at this time, that is part of that active investigation, and, we can't release that information. But with that, you mentioned one of our partner agencies. One thing that CMPD has always been great about is utilizing those resources that we have with other agencies, and we're also very appreciative for those partnerships that we have. Look, we're pulling out all the stops, and like Captain McNally said, we're coming to find this guy, and we're going to do what we can. We're going to exercise all the holistic resources available to us to take someone off the street who's charged with a very serious crime.
I have Kendall from WCNC.
Kendall from WCNC.
Hi, thanks for taking my questions. I have two questions on different cases. CMPD sent out the press release yesterday about the sexual assault, kidnapping of a 17-year-old girl that was taken from the Charlotte area to Davidson County. And I think there's some confusion about how many suspects were involved in this and how many suspects is CMPD looking for, because Davidson County said that they had arrested one suspect in a release. CMPD sent out pictures saying that they were looking for two suspects, so I just wanted to clarify what CMPD is looking for, who CMPD is looking for.
Okay, and we can also follow up offline on that to make sure that everything's nailed down tight. But with the information we put out yesterday, we are looking for the two suspects that were in that series of photos that we sent out yesterday. And again, we continue to ask for the community support, and to our media partners, we always appreciate you being that vehicle that gets us to the community, that gets that information out there. We know we couldn't do that without you, and again, we implore the community. You have information on that? Crime Stoppers, 704-334-1600.
All right. I have Dee Dee from WBTV.
Dee Dee from WBTV.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. When we see the families like Ethan Rivera's, what does your team want them to know specifically with Ethan's killer still out there?
Well, we want them to know that the CMPD is here for you, and we do that in a variety of ways. We make ourselves available through not just the investigative unit assigned to that case, being accessible to the family and in coordination with them, but also with our victim services. We're here to help them holistically, not just work their case from a criminal investigation standpoint. We want that family to know we're here for you, to help navigate what's to come. not just through the legal system, but I can only imagine, I haven't been in their shoes, but for what's to come, both emotionally as well as navigating life without their loved one here. So ultimately, to that family, and unfortunately to the families in the future, the CMPD is here to help you through that process.
Morgan Francis.
Ms. Francis.
All right, let's try this again. So you mentioned with this recent operation, suggested that people lock up their guns. Have you traced these back to private citizens, or have these been stolen from gun stores, as we've seen with the suspect in the deputy shooting, as well as I believe there was another attempt to steal from a gun store overnight at a different location unrelated to the suspect in the deputy shooting. So are you tracing these back to thefts from gun stores or private citizens? My other question is if you could just repeat the addresses for, I think there were, 3 locations for this recent operation. If you could just repeat those for me, that'd be great.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for bearing with us, Morgan. I know it's always a challenge as we hold these virtual press conferences. I'm going to bring Lieutenant Royston back up here, but to hit your back-end question about those addresses, Lieutenant Royston will be happy to repeat that information, but we're also going to send out a media release with that information stated out in writing following this morning's press conference. Lieutenant?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, about the addresses, the first one where we started was in the North Tryon Division. It was at the 5500 block of Panorama Avenue. And then the second search warrant was the 2700 block of Haversham Court. As far as the guns coming back stolen, as of yet, none of those 11 that were recovered came back stolen. The crime gun suppression team does average quite a few stolen guns, but we're not seeing any from the gun store break-ins, mainly from private citizens. That's why we're trying to encourage and remind people to take that responsibility, to secure your firearm, to keep it from getting out on the street and somebody else getting hurt.
Okay. I think that's it. Wait, Sarah DeLay, sorry.
Yes, ma'am, Sarah.
I had one more question about the Ethan Rivera case, real quick. Do you all consider the suspect in this case to be armed and dangerous? Do you have any advice for people that may come across him or know his whereabouts?
Yeah, Lieutenant Fishbach.
And just make sure I heard your question correctly, Ms. Sarah. You were asking, do we consider that suspect armed and dangerous, and what should our citizenry do if they know about his whereabouts? Is that right? Okay. So you know the kind of case that we're investigating with this, and the violent nature of this case. So anytime we cast our officers and detectives out there to do a very dangerous job, locate someone who is charged with this type of crime. Of course, we consider them armed and dangerous. And we should all be thankful for the service and the job that those officers and detectives do going out there and trying to safely take someone in custody for those crimes. What we're asking from the community is, don't confront this person. Don't make any overt effort